Stupidity is not a competition, unless you're a politician. The Daily Mojo.
Let's go ahead and bring Phil in, because if we're going to talk about his microphone, I think the man should be present. Everybody's impressed with your microphone. Everybody loves your microphone.
Green, PLP
they do.
microphone.
They do. They are. They're very impressed. Let's see here. And Gamma Val says, I asked my coworker why he decided to get the vax, and he said because he was sick a few years ago and decided to get it. Alrighty then, is all I could say to him. And again, if you want to get the vacuum, get the vacuum. I don't care. It's fine. I just don't tell me I have to do it. And what do you think? Do you think Biden got the booster, or do you think? Because I didn't realize they did it, in the back room, out of sight of cameras. Yeah,
no,
they didn't,
frankly,
didn't do it on camera this time.
No, I don't think he did. And you have to think about just from a practical standpoint. Okay, so you're talking about the President of the United States. There can be any variety of things. They would probably do the sort of background health research that you would expect your doctor to do when they're not running around crazy saying, oh my gosh, just do whatever the government tells us. No, I believe they probably did that. And I believe there's a reason why they supposedly administered it outside of the public eye, whereas before they did it right in front in the the fake White House.
Yeah. I mean, it's so painfully obvious. When they made and it's their own fault. They made such a big deal of him getting the initial jab and all the follow-ups, and then so it's blatantly obvious when he doesn't do it. They set themselves up for that failure. So,
right.
Again, it's just par for the course. Speaking of the course and par, things are things starting to crumble with regard to how they're trying to fix the economy. I mean, I don't even know what they're doing anymore to help fix the economy. And I know the Fed, are they still raising rates, or have they started lowering them? Are they doing nothing? Doesn't seem anything works.
It's funny you say fix the economy. Do you really think this regime wants to fix the economy? No, they want to break it more. And by the way, I don't say that just to be funny. I say this over and over again. There is a group of people, a very large group of people, who does believe that we have too much freedom. And so anything they can do to take elements of that freedom away, they will do that. And one of those elements is our freedom to go out and purchase, because guess what? If we have the ability to use our credit cards, we can get mortgages, we can drive cars, we can do all those things. We have the ability to say, well, you know what? I don't want to deal with you. I'm going to go somewhere else. And a lot of times we have.
Yep.
Now they're raising rates, and a big part of the reason is to prevent us from doing that.
And again, most people, I would think, or a significant percentage of the population does not want to believe that their government would be doing things to intentionally negatively affect them, because they want to believe that the government is out, for their good. And it is. It's a tough pill to swallow, to think that the government would actually be evil and would actually try to make your life tougher. But there's no other explanation for what these chuckleheads up there are doing. I mean,
right.
And they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing. The founding fathers understood that the government would be evil. And one of the things that I find to be the most interesting, a friend of mine is a presidential historian, very liberal. We played in the band together, but he can't stand anything I say politically. Great guy. But right. He always said right after they got done writing the Constitution, the founding fathers, they all started to squabble with each other, and they tried to do this, that, or the other. And that's what I think is so interesting. They understood what would happen afterwards, and that is a testament to it. But the one thing they did, the last check that they put in, check and balance, was that we, the people, would have to make sure that the government lived within the rules that were set for it. And when we stopped doing that, and we assumed, well, you know what, it's okay, whatever they do at City Hall is fine, or in Washington, D.C. is fine, or in the state capitol, then they got out of hand. And that's the reason why. There's always been evil, there always will be, but it's up to us to say, hey, wait, you've got to stay where you are.
Right. And it takes a lot of energy, quite frankly, to think about it and to be proactive in trying to get them to stop being dicks in Washington. And a lot of people, and I feel for them, their days are full with just trying to get the kids to school and trying to get to the job so they can pay the mortgage. They pay, starting this coming week, the student loans, all of that. So I get it. It's tough, and it's going to take extra effort on people's parts to get this ship back in between the lines, because it's way outside the lines right now.
Absolutely. And I want to read to you a little excerpt from this Wall Street Journal article about that, which goes exactly to what you said. It says that on the interest rates, the typical credit card carried a 20.7% interest rate in May, up from 14.6% in February 2022, according to the Fed. And Americans' collective credit card debt just passed the $1 trillion mark for the first time. So think about it. We're not just talking about getting hit with a high interest rate when you go to buy something new. Think about what you've already purchased, and you said, okay, well, I'm going to get the points. That's the number one reason. You're going to get the points. So you're going to put your groceries on the credit card, and I'll pay it off. But then things got a little bit tougher because it got more expensive to do just about everything. And one of my morning updates, I talked about going to the food store and the $2 a can Campbell soup. $2.09 a can Campbell soup. Now, why did all this happen? Well, first of all, because a lot of us, and I hate to do this, but we gotta place blame where it is. A lot of people arbitrarily decided we're going to give up our freedom for safety and go along with the government. And it didn't matter who was running the government at the time. It was Trump. Be dumb, stay home, and be afraid. So what happened? We asked for spending. We got spending. Spending led to inflation. Now the Fed says, well, let's get rid of the inflation. Let's jack everything up. And that's how we got here. So they're a problem, but we started it.
Right. And I've been spent some time this morning looking at ways, because we've got the budget impasse, or whatever we want to call the crisis that's is happening this coming weekend, and looking at different ways that the government is just blowing money left and right on all the improper payments, the federal payment errors, all of these stupid programs that I think Heritage Foundation was the one who put out the. They're really good every year. They come out with how the money's being wasted, that sort of thing, and it pisses me off, because we are, again, 33 trillion in the hole. These guys are up there arguing back and forth. We know what's going to happen on Saturday, that McCarthy and the crew are just going to, fold up into a neat little bundle, and we're going to be, they're going to be spending out the wazoo again when there are obvious ways to fix this. How do you get them to stop spending money on stupid stuff like, finding out what it takes to get a mouse drunk?
Well, here's the first question. This is the thing I don't understand. And, I'm a proud American, but I understand this about a lot of my fellow Americans. Why is the first impulse to go ask the government for it? Now, if I want to understand what it takes to get a mouse drunk, anyway, let's just say I wanted to understand. Right. I would find some other scientists that want to go along with me, come up with an experiment, figure out how to do it, and then do it. I wouldn't ask the government for money. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And you also have to think about it. I'll give you a good example, too. So, I love trains. Railroads received $1.4 billion in grants for, I think it was 70 projects across 35 states. Now, look, I love the railroads. They're great. Why do we need the government grants to fix, improve, and upgrade railroads? Why doesn't the private sector do it? And if you think about it, when the private sector doesn't do these things, whether we're talking about nonprofit or for-profit, then the funding mechanisms in the private sector cease to exist to fund it. That means in the future, less money will be privately available. And that means more of us will be doing what the government wants us to do. So how do we solve it? Don't ask them. Just don't ask them for anything. That's it.
But so many people and so many organizations are addicted to getting there. Well, it's what the National Institutes of Health did. They addicted all of these organizations, all of these colleges and universities and hospitals to the money in the grants, which is why, in my opinion, that's why we saw Johns Hopkins and Mayo Clinic and everybody else just, lapping up whatever Dr. Fauci said. And, he's right, even though they knew it was wrong, but they didn't want to get cut off from the government teat, so to speak. And it's how do you stop them from doing that? Because they'll keep doing it.
Well, there's an easy way, a very easy way, and it's going to sound unfulfilling earlier, but you'll see where I'm going. What made the United States so big and so successful? It's because we've had this robust private sector that's done things on our own and grew on our own and eschewed every kind of absurd for many years. Not now, but for many years. And then it was really easy when you were in East Berlin to look over the wall and see, oh, well, wait a minute, they have freedom over there. Or it's really easy for the North Koreans when they are allowed to get some kind of outside media and they say, wait a minute, why are they having all kinds of fun? Why do they have that? And it was that we led by example. And we as individuals have to lead by example. So number one, if you have an idea, something you want to do, you fix up a park, do something like that, put together a group of people and do it. Maybe start on your own and get other people to follow you. Do it. Set that example. If you start to set the example, people look over and say, hey, the science that's coming out of the Bell Institute for Advanced Railroad Studies is so much better than the claptrap that we're getting elsewhere. You know what? I want to follow that. Why are they doing that? Well, they put together donors. They're independent. Sometimes they go against what their donors want. Although as a fundraiser, donors, I don't. But I'm kidding there. But sometimes it doesn't fit what they want. But that's the idea of what you're supposed to do and put science. And then over time, you will see more people follow you. And it is a gradual process. It is not a magic bullet. It is not a one size fits all. It won't end immediately, but it didn't start immediately either.
Right. And that's the thing is I always have to remind myself, because I am very impatient and I want things to happen yesterday. It's going to take many years to turn this ship around. We didn't get here in just a few short years. It's going to take a long time to rectify the problem. I wanted to ask you about a song, and I don't know if you've heard about this yet or not, but I'm going to play a little song.
Thanks to the people at CPSC.
Burning up like diamonds in the sky. You and I are sending off some sparks tonight.
Were you aware of this? The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission recorded an entire album of safety songs.
Boy.
And these are designed to make people safer, because you'll listen to this and you won't want to burn yourself on fireworks.
But that's only if you can understand the title of the album.
Right. Yeah. The title of the album, We're Safety Now, Haven't We?
I mean, it would make me less safe, because I can tell just by the little bit you've played, I'd probably want to bang my head into the wall if I had to keep listening to it. But, this is what happens when government is overfunded. And they are overfunded. And that's, what? You bring up a good point. That's something we need to point out. One of the big reasons why the government is successful in doing what it's doing is because you have so many people who run around and say, well, we just need more money. There just isn't enough. They have made a cottage industry of making people think they don't have any money. They have all the money, all of it. And they have access to all of it all the time. If you took away 99% of what the government received in taxes, we would not only have every product and service we needed, we would have every ounce of defense that we needed. We would have absolutely no problems in this country. The only problem would be a bunch of control freaks would have less control. That's it. And I am not kidding about that amount either.
Do you know that they actually turned comments off for the video? They wouldn't, which again it's infuriating. Number one, but it's this one blew me away, because these are the same idiots that came up with Vapo McJuicy a couple of years ago to try to get people to stop vaping, and Deep breaths. And finally, before I let you go, I wanted to get your opinion on Menendez. The $480,000. I started thinking about it because it probably is shady, but we don't know. The guy kept $500,000 in cash in his house. What right do we have to go in and say, hey, this ain't legit?
So wait, so are you saying that civil asset forfeiture would be bad? Because if you or I have $480,000 in our house, they'll just come in and say, well, clearly that's because of drug use. Let's take that, and maybe we may not give it back to you. But if it's him, maybe we might take you to court. I don't know. Yeah, look, Menendez has been corrupt for a long time. I'm from New Jersey. They almost had him before. I wonder, the real question is, who did he not pay off, or who did he get crosswise with in the Democrat Party or the mob that has now decided to unload on him? That's the more interesting story. But he's a corrupt guy. A lot of them are corrupt guys, but him in particular. And, of course, his next-door neighbor, Joe Biden.
God. It just, all right. What do people need to do over at freedomworks.org?
Look, go to freedomworks.org. And if you're in the D.C. area on October 11th, we're going to have a book party with Senator Rand Paul for his new book, Opposing Dr. Fauci. So there will be more info on this coming out, but mark it down in your calendar if you're in the D.C. area, or you can get there.
Perfect. All right, my friend, you go. I'll send you a copy of the new CD from the Consumer Product Safety Commission, so you can listen to it in the car on the way to work. It's great. It's the bomb. Let me tell you, it's great.
The First Amendment lives here. Watch and listen at thedailymojo.com.